Hello, hello, hello. My name is Panda, and I'm going to talk to you today about the recent town hall by Twitch. So, the facts and summaries of having to watch over 2.5 hours of the video conference, my thoughts on what they had to say, and then finally, where I see the direction of Twitch going by what we know from the announcements. And I will talk about each one individually because they actually split it into four categories. For your information, the game in the background is Uno, which was recorded from my co-stream over at twitch.tv/PandaChan. So, the first thing which I'm going to be discussing is the fact that when they talked about discoverability and the LGBTIQ community. Now, they touched a bit on identity tags and how they're difficult to implement. And this was due to potential harassment from the community, as well as harassment from just general Twitch. But they do want to include this. And if you're not sure what I'm referencing to, this is to the tags of what pronouns which the streamer may go under. If they go under she, he, it, them, our, any of them type of pronouns. And they wanted to add this, and they said there's more to be said about discoverability and again for the LGBTIQ community in 2021. And they also kind of discuss about user discoverability as well. And they stated, and they've kind of started this transition. Community Boost, which you might have seen, which was launched in beta on the 2nd of December. And my personality to this, and kind of my thoughts on this in general, is that it is a step in the direction. And it is a step in the right direction. And it can be seen positive. However, there's some very interesting statements in regard to this. So, in theory, the question you got to ask yourself is this deemed feasible? Now, question which I will say to you, and I put it out for everyone which is watching this video, comment down below. How long do you spend time on the front page of Twitch? Now, me personally, I look at the front page of Twitch for about 10-15 seconds, and then I switch straight to the browse tab. And for some people, that's more, but for some people, that's even less. And I was doing a little bit of research on this to find out, is it just me or what's actually happened through the boosted scenario? Now, there's two Redditors which were on r/Twitch. Again, that they were one of them was boosted and they got 11 additional viewers. Two of them fall from starting, two of them which followed, sorry. And that started from 21 viewers to 32. But then it dropped back to 25 about 10 minutes later. So not really much benefit. But then there's another side to this. Another Redditor which actually stated that between their boost time, they went from about 1 to 2.4 viewer average. Then the rest of the night it went to 3.8 to 18 average. But this is the thing where you've got to weigh out your expectations very carefully on this. It's not going to be a fast track to, hey, I'm going to be on the front page Twitch. That means I'm automatically going to have 8K viewers every day. It's the right step, but you need to weigh out your expectations. And I think time will tell. I feel like there's more data which needs to be needed, more data which needs to be collected on how long you stay on the front page, and like I said, just out of interest. If you watch Twitch, how long do you spend yourself on the front page of Twitch before moving it off? Because that's the main thing, and I feel like that's a key part, which is actually going to kind of determine, like, if this is actually going to be a benefit for any viewers, and then on top of that, is it actually going to be a benefit in general? Now, the second thing we discussed was DMCA, and that is the elephant in the room currently. And the first thing which they kind of stated, which about this, and what they state about this actual fact is the main thing with OBS and the announcement of alternative VOD audio tracks for all users new cases, and you'll see the tweet which I'm going to put on the screen. But the community and creator marketing, Aaron Wynn stated specifically, you should not play recorded music on your stream unless you have permission from the rights holder. Now, this is a lot better. This is a lot better statement, a lot better direct statement from someone over at Twitch. Because you'll see from the tweet, which I'm going to put on the screen, It feels like that tweet was pretty much saying this is an alternative way of avoiding DMCA strikes. And on top of that, again, they openly admitted the fact that within the policy, it stated just delete all the VODs and clips. They feel like that was lackluster. Like, that's not an option. That was not an option for a lot of people. And they kind of made it feel like it was. But further into the video, they discussed and kind of split focuses on three focuses for just generally the DMCA scenario. One, which is stream with music, two, which is content management, and three, notification management. So let's dive into streaming with music. So they first discussed about Twitch soundtrack. And many people discussed about soundtracks. I don't really need to go into much detail, but you like Devin Nash does a really good coverage on Twitch soundtrack and how it isn't technically fully DMCA free music. So that was a big car crash, and I kind of went through that, kind of listened to it. There was not really much new information than what we already knew about Twitch soundtrack. It was kind of more of a plug to say, hey, let's use Twitch soundtrack. It will help you. Then they started talking about OBS multitrack, which again, it was reinstated at that time. It doesn't circumvent the DMCA scenario. And they restated it on top of it, further and further and further throughout it. This is not a way to avoid DMCA strikes, which is is a lot better. And the one question which a lot of people throughout all this, there was a lot of Q&A, and they were stating, and they were kind of saying about why are people getting VODs and clips muted while they're running the soundtrack? And they kind of cleared this up by saying it's licensed for streams, but it's not for VODs and clips. And that was their kind of stance on that. Now, going into content management very briefly, they kind of said these are the tools which we're going to have available, where you can review and delete clips individually, delete all the clips. They allowed editors access to manage clips. You can unpublish VODs individually, and Audible Magic is going to be scanning all historical clips and VODs. And in development, they're trying to plan tools which you can see your clips by views, games, and date. You can unpublish VODs in batches and delete VODs in batches, and finally to unpublish all VODs. Now, this still doesn't solve the problem, which is the elephant in the room about DMCA, how it's protecting users, and then on top of that, it's not really helping anyone. It's kind of saying, well, here's all the tools, which this is as far as we can go, but it's not actually helping the base for the viewers in general in this case. But I feel like a lot of people can argue, well, Twitch isn't doing much. Twitch could do this, Twitch could do that. But I feel like in some respects we kinda are hand tied, and Twitch has also got the hands tied in this scenario because of the DMCA law and the way which we are in at the moment. Could it kill streaming? Potentially. But at the same time, we need to actually push this more as streamers, whether small streamers or big streamers, to try and get through this. And finally, they went into notification management, and they kind of briefly was just saying, well, it's sent by email, and that's the only notification, and it's quite dated. Like, it's a point where YouTube even has a better option than that. And what they plan to do further into Q4 and kind of pushing through that is to try and make sure that again you get notified within Twitch rather than an email. And as you'll see on the screen, which I've just popped up just now, again, this is going to show you all the things which Twitch are going on, and they're actually trying to plan towards the year. You can see Q4 with 2020 where we are now, all the way up to Q4 2021. And Twitch is going in the right directions, but the problem is some of these tools should have already been done by now. They are way behind the game on this. Some of these things which YouTube allow, which Twitch doesn't. And YouTube is looking really, really good right now compared to Twitch in regards to helping creators, especially with muting sections of VODs, for example, to make sure that again it's all covered if you're going to publish a video. again, making sure that your ad revenue is stopped. There are other things which Twitch could do, but they are not doing as of current in this current time. And I feel like it's a great step forward, but we need to see how this goes. And the biggest one, which is actually up there, is about sorting and deleting clips by date, which is left to Q3 and Q4 of 2021. That's going to anger a lot of people. And it also shows that Twitch is doing extremely slow progress. And to me, personally, as a creator, it feels like they're forced to do something rather than wanting to do something. And that alone is just a major, major flaw. Hello, past self. You kind of little bit messed up here. So Twitch have actually been going towards Q3, Q4 2021. But one thing which I forgot to include is the fact that Commander Root did something which Twitch is going to take an entire year to do. He did in one day using his API. Just thought to add that in as kind of a little bit of an insult to Twitch. But anyway, let's go back on to what I originally said. So they kind of broke it down into the three different categories of the hateful conduct and harassment policy from the 22nd of January. Harassment, hateful conduct, and sexual harassment. They kind of split into them categories. Now, I highly recommend you read, if you're a Twitch streamer and or a mod, to read the hateful conduct and harassment policy. And the thing is, I can go through this, and if you want me to actually go through this, please let me know down in the comments. I will happily do a video on this to kind of break it down, because I know it's a long read and I know it's painful, but I would love to pick out the key parts of it. But the reason why they went to update the policy is to provide clarity on expectations, promote predictable and consistent enforcement, and to quote unquote listen to the community. The statement within this, they're trying to make everything clear and making it rather than just doing generic language, rather than from generic language, to start using more specific terms and wording, so it's more specific, so it's written in black and white. So harassment policy, and on the harassment section, they're saying more specific quotes are actually going to be in there, and they want to split this between banter and harassment. They're trying to provide this divide between it. So that was the main thing that we're kind of pushing out. Like, if you've been reported, if you've been timed out in chat, you've been banned, then you're getting reported, that is crossing the line. And one thing which I will take generally, and this is a very interesting statement, I think this has actually been taken out in clips out of context, is they actually stated, we do not suspend on behaviors which don't break community guidelines. We don't want to ban people who are gaming the system to get a user in trouble. Now that quote, exactly at face value, is saying if you do something which is trying to force, if, say for example, a Twitch viewer is trying to do something to force you to get banned and get reported, it protects you. But right now that's still unclear, because if we know Sebastian Forsen, for example, he was banned under the case of clicking a video. But as sources have said, he is getting unbanned after Christmas. And again, I feel like this is kind of a statement to be more focused on exactly what you're doing on Twitch. Clicking links, whether making sure everything is secure, and you're avoiding links at all possible, because it seems like this probably could still get taken out of context. On hateful conduct, I'm going to be very quick. The state of harassment, that harassment becomes hateful conduct when it's including immigration status, color, caste, and again, as well as gender, race, or sexuality. That was pretty much it. They kind of just briefed it as that, and that was the end of that story. Now, sexual harassment. This is something which they kind of pushed on quite a bit. And it's directed at objectifying and the behavior which is unwanted about lewd or explicit comments. So, for example, if you keep forcing down the throat that someone's pretty, I know that was an example within there, but I feel like this is also going into more depth, of someone's appearance, as well as potentially disability or anything like that. If you're forcing more intent, they're focusing rather on what you're actually saying rather than the context of it. So they're not, because I feel like if they focus on the context, then they kind of have this divide. Twitch is trying to more focus on the content and rather than the intent from now on. So this will be a bit stricter. And what I recommend is to be careful with what you state. And the thing which is, if you state something which is kind of like implying like it's an inside joke, you've kind of got to be a bit more careful now on Twitch because this is actually going to cause a point where people are saying stuff like this. We're going to try to actually force things and try to say, "Oh, well, I was only joking," but I don't think Twitch. If you get reported for that, I don't think they're going to be more lenient as they used to be. So, with that, covered off, third thing which they covered, and this was kind of dry to go through, which was ads. Now, they stated that they are the most high definition, low latency, and globally available platform. Now, we all can agree. YouTube. What happened to YouTube, guys? Does YouTube just not exist at this point? But anyway, I digress. Like, I could be on there for ages regarding how YouTube is also a competitor to Twitch, but it seemed like they didn't want to drop YouTube in any way, shape, or form. But the main thing about ads, they kind of went on discussing about how ads are actually advantageous to viewers as well as streamers. But they kind of missed out one thing which I want to really push: pre rolls and mid rolls. Now, pre rolls, again, there's this 15-second pre roll. That is 15 or 30-second pre roll. Then you get hit by the mid rolls. And that ratio, the ratio between it, forcing people to run mid rolls specifically to remove pre rolls. That consensus, it's a major thing. Like, if you're a small streamer, this is what I always say. If you're forced to watch a pre roll, if you're not running ads as a small streamer, if you're an affiliate, bear in mind, which is are able to run ads, it makes you less discoverable. Because I always follow this 15-second of fame rule, and it's a famous comment. You have 15 seconds of fame to kind of push yourself. Like, I will flick through streamers which are running, pretty much playing any game, like small streamers. They have 15 seconds to wow me. Unfortunately, pre-rolls kill that. And how many times people have actually gone into a stream, got hit by a pre-roll, and then left? They apparently Twitch say that's not a thing, but I can guarantee from small streamers which I spoke to and even viewers, that is definitely a thing. Where you have 15 seconds of fame. If you don't impress in that 15 seconds, that's it. You're dead. They went onto an ad manager, and you'll see on the screen, which I'll just pop up just now. Boop. And this was to actually allow it to queue ads, and make sure it's a little bit more visible for the viewer. A little bit more automated for the streamer. Now, I don't recommend using this. They're planning to push it out. I don't recommend using it unless you want to turn your channel into like a TV show. It could be beneficial for some people. I just don't see any benefit of running automated schedule ads because then we go back to the whole mid-rolls stop content type scenario, which they trialed and then they realized it failed. Now, I know I've been rambling on for quite a bit, but I'm going to then discuss, finally, because there's not really much else that pretty much put in ads, but a couple of questions which came out of Q&A. Now, a lot of it was a little bit about DMCA, a little bit about soundtrack, but I cherry-picked a couple of questions which were kind of key into the information. Now, the first interesting question which I saw was, have Twitch thought of creating a Twitch Turbo, but for streamers to keep ads off their channel? And the response to this was they're saying it's highly unlikely. And the reason why they pretty much need for ad providers to be reached. And by actually including that, they're removing, that reachability and that kind of community which ads can be used on. As well as they're saying it would be bad for other streamers who can't afford it. Now, I can see this as in two sides. I can see a good and a bad to this. Yes, from a competitive market point, Twitch is correct. They need to be able to actually push ads to a community. However, But I feel like the way is to circumvent this. Now, this is me just spitballing. But if they made it so then you could donate X amount of bits, I'm not going to say channel points because again we have to remember that Twitch do take a cut out of bits. If they if viewers could donate X amount of bits to prevent ads on a channel for X amount of time, I feel like that would both benefit Twitch, the streamer, and the viewer because the viewer doesn't want to see mid rolls. The streamer wants to have it to a point where again, there's no ads on their channel, and Twitch want to make money. And I feel like that's the only way of kind of like dividing it and going through that scenario. And the kind of did also touch one thing. We're going back to pre rolls again. The kind of touch on a 6-second pre roll or skippable ad, similar to how YouTube have it currently right now. But the stating again, like they agree with it, they feel like it would be a good idea, but they need to find out if it benefits the campaign and it benefits their ad providers. So they didn't say no, but they definitely didn't say yes on that one. Now, I've also seen a lot of clips on this, and I want to kind of address this because they kind of addressed it, and I'm going to be a little bit longer on this question. But they said, and I quote, the term simp being used where users can create emotes instead of where currently. What is the new stance with the new policy? Now, the CIO's terminology and quote was this: any derogatory terms which are attacking the streamer in a negative term, such as terms like simp, incel, or virgin, as an insult, is a negative way, and we are denying emotes which include the term simp. Now, a lot of people are taking this clip out of context. They are banning the words virgin, incel, and simp. However, this is for negative use. Now, a lot of people saying, "Oh, the blanket banning it," and again, the joke is that again, you can't say this in chat, can't say that in chat. But this is for negative abuse. So, say for example, if you're always getting called a sim continuously, and it was to a point where you've told them to stop, told them to, calm down, and they still continue, it's directed at that. Or saying that you're a virgin, but in a negative way. Like it's a very old, like child playground insult, but they're trying to focus on trying to keep that safe haven within Twitch to kind of keep Twitch a more friendly community, as well as at the point where they don't have to keep going through and be more attacked by other people. And that's kind of the focus on that. I don't feel like it's a blanket ban of saying, oh, wait, no, you can't say Zimba anymore, you can't say insult, can't say version. There is a lot worse words which they could have included. I don't agree that labeling these 3 words as like the worst insults in the world is really a good idea. Because again, you just need to have a look at when Pride Month is running, or again, Black Lives Matter process, and again, like I said, Black Appreciation Month is running. There is 100% more worse words than they could have said. And I will be getting on to the N word very shortly. So, another thing which I was saying, another good question was further clarify how do we define protected groups which can find loopholes for transphobic conversations. And it was saying that the protected group, what the definition of the protected group was people which share the same characteristics. And if it promotes violence or discrimination when discussing these topics, that will violate the policy. And you can discuss about the transphobic and transgender definitely within sports and politics, but no hateful discussions are allowed on it. So you shouldn't be slagging people off or pushing it down as a negative way. And on the back of that, they were saying, will ban users be able to watch content live on VODs? Because some people, if they banned them, they don't really want to see the content anymore. And the only thing they said is they're working on doing multi-account banning, but didn't really say anything specific. And the final thing which I'll include is how will the slur side of the policy be enforced, as it states about they were okay with context. And she stated that the slurs like the N word can be used, well, currently they are used to belong to a community or identity. And the Twitch leadership team does not believe they are in a position to determine a person's position in a community or identity. So they allowed the use of the M word to not alienate any communities or any people. However, and this is a very big however, they want to state they do, however, prohibit the use of the words when used in an explicit, hurtful, or targeted manner. And I totally agree. I feel like there's no way around it. Twitch has kind of got to stay in this safe haven, and they can't really say much about it. And the thing which I see, like, I see Twitch. A lot of people are quite negative about Twitch currently in this current state. But the way which I see Twitch in future, it has potential, like it is going slightly in the right direction, but it needs to make a lot more changes and fast. Like, for example, a lot of people are saying about discoverability. Yes, there is some discoverability options available, but are they enough? Probably not. When it's getting to a point where people are having to move platforms, like, don't get me wrong, like, you should always be branding out your content. But when you're actually trying to push this further and further and further, like, you need to be very careful on trying to keep people over in Twitch and trying to help smaller creators. But they realize this and they realize that small creators don't make them money. And this is unfortunate, but this is the reason why Twitch will never focus on small creators because they don't make them enough money, which they want them to. They're not making them the ad revenue. They're not. And then on top of that, they definitely don't care about their affiliates because there's loads of things about affiliates, but I digress on that. That's a totally different topic. But the thing is, this is what the problem is. Like, you can go onto YouTube and actually enjoy like some of the content from that, and then on top of that, streaming on YouTube, is fairly easy, and you may even get discovered more than you will actually get on Twitch. And these are the things like they just need to improve a lot more on, and be more consistent. If you're gonna ban someone, being consistent, following the right rules, the right policies, rather than just ban one rule for one and then one rule for another. Oh, past self, it doesn't change, does it? So, just come to light as when I was actually recording and editing this, is that there was a good old streamer, which I'm going to leave unnamed, but there was someone which was banned for over 90 days for watching ASMR, which was streamed on Twitch. But there was a recent partnered streamer which did a cam show and only got a 3-day ban. Now, when I was saying about inconsistency is bliss, this is the major difference where it's one rule for one and then one rule for another. Moving on. Within this market is always helpful for everyone involved. Right? You as a creator, yes, you may never go over to Mixer, for example, or you may never go over to insert rival platform here. But having competition gives you options, and that is more beneficial for everyone which is involved. And I kind of hope that I kind of briefed through the full thing. Yes, I know I've turned 2.5 hours into about 28 minutes, 28 minutes to 30 minutes, but it's kind of going through my opinions and kind of like trying to slim down all of it. But if you appreciate this video, don't forget to press the like button. Comment down below, like I said, the questions which I was saying, mainly thing on of how long are you actually looking at the front page of Twitch. And then on top of that, again, do you actually watch pre-rolls or do you actually skip like I do? Like, given that 10 15 seconds of fame, and if you don't want to click on it, then you just skip again. Did are really great to kind of hear this feedback. And then on top of that, to find out, is that actually what you do? And it kind of gives me an idea just generally on the numbers of how many people do this. But if you've enjoyed the content as well, don't forget to press the subscribe button. Again, I do stream on Twitch over at twitch.tv/PandaCham. Again, I am actually always talking on Twitter, but if you want to ask any questions with regard to anything which I've discussed, or even just general questions, general trivia, I'm more than happy to discuss with you guys. But thank you, keep healthy, keep safe, and keep happy.